Alright, so let's talk about transferring UVs. When we work on an asset in Maya and we have identical planks right here, right? They have the same amount of polygons, and instead of laying out the UVs for every single plank and doing the move and so for every single shelf, we're going to do something that is very common in the industry, which is to create the UVs for one of the objects and assigning a shader, correcting the distortion of the UVs, and then copying the UVs to the other objects. And again, this only works if the object has similar component. Alright, so what we're going to use for this operation can be found under Mesh, Transfer Attributes, and we're going to go to the option. And as you can see, if I go to Reset, we're pretty much going to use the default attributes, right? We're going to have vertex position off, vertex normals off. Okay, we want to transfer the UV sets and the color sets. Now this is the important part right here. A lot of people think that, hey, if I select UVs, I'm going to transfer the UVs. This is not how this works. This is called the sample space. So we're either going to look at the world, so it's going to take in consideration its position on X, Y, and Z, at the local position, in case this is moved and it's got its own coordinates, at the UV sample space. So if these guys right here all had UVs, then we could select that. The component and the topology. What we're going to use is going to be the component. Okay. What we're saying is, look at this object right here, and if these objects are the same when it comes to component, right? Meaning that the vertices, the faces, and the edges are identical, go ahead and transfer the UVs. So if I select the first plank and then shift select the second plank, and I click on this, apply, you will think that nothing has happened because we don't see the texture. However, let me close this, and when I go to the perspective and UV editor and I single click on the first plank and then click on the second plank, you will notice now that it has transferred the UVs. The reason why we don't see the texture is because we have not assigned the texture to this plank right here. Now if I select the third, fourth, and fifth plank, you will notice that they don't have any UVs. So again, what I'm going to do is, let me zoom in, select the first plank, shift select the second plank, and I'm going to go to Mesh, Transfer Attributes, and again, first plank, second plank, third plank. Okay, the UVs were transferred accordingly. Now if we want to add the shader, what we will do is we will go to our Windows Rendering Editor, and we're going to bring up the Hypershade. Now that we have the Hypershade, all we have to do is assign the Hypershade to these two planks right here. I'm going to select the first one, shift select the second one, right mouse button over the shader, and I'm going to go to Assign Material to the selection. And there it is. Now if I assign the shader to these other two planks, nothing will happen because they don't have any UVs. However, if I select plank number 3, which has UVs, and shift select the fourth plank, and I go to Mesh, Transfer Attributes, there it is. It has transferred the UVs because it had the shader assigned. Now the shader will show correctly. And if I select this plank now and shift select the fifth plank and go to Mesh, Transfer Attributes, we get the same thing. So this is how you transfer the UVs to similar objects in Maya.